Umwaka Thomas Mugere kurwa ase kinyoro kia chisaro ikigutuka ime wodi area na county ya Kisii nigo amochire abanyagitari nene ya Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital asoga kora rimocho rirerete umwana oyo munyarako bwa imyaka 13 weika kubuturwa egichare gitwoni gyokoboko okobe
Thomas Mugere nkoroko kurwa chisaro nyamwari sub location Diana location Kisii South nigo narenge n'umwana one kamurusika kuruchisaro kumuira level 6 alingo murwaire egeranyora mario gakonyi pero na ikorro akabati needed agaswa kwa ewe mario gobuya egaika katigi kabere agachaga kurigikira ini cyo kobeka amario gasumubere bakarigia je bimo bya ebyonsi bakanyora kurwa igase kiara kemakyo yokoboko kobe bakamubekera kurwege chara egera baje kumubekera eliyogo umwana agateka ikiale iki eliogo lirikaba liriagenda likamusalie ikiale getuani pi baka omwaeli akabutoru
rengana mana Thomas nigo akwerera buna chitarikisano nemo chomutinyo 12 umwaka wa 2023 nigo airete umwana oyo gwika ase injectari ya Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital wasachete kwegwa obogwani lakini korende agatangwa nonye nabo nigo bona Thomas abekire amamocho abanyagitari benyagitari eyo asoko mubita umwana oyo sindani obe egechara egetoni egentukererete umwana oyo kubutura egechara ekyo gwika korusi gororo
buna butoletu no ala se gwati umwana oyo nentakana mama mwabasirete mwaka 2019 arantigera umwana oyo tali kwenyara yale malite tali kwenyara yalense ninje ngotema na murageri ronko ninje ngomoira mangana soti koninje keregento byose bininje ngomakorera no ndagere ngomubekera mono wetera nainda sagi mwana oyo tali kunyagwe onchora asara ara gwika moncho muna ncho moibuli bwana embwato bugima bakongo nainda omwana one namuruse tiole nebiro ebyara bya bitano ona ngoja kumuiranika abugate byara bine ekigenke chatimina ncho moibuli nasugulikire no mwana nasoko masumbu omwana one niga abugate emyaka 13 naende niga ari omwana nyaruka asayo niga nkumeti naende nchandegete bwana ntaro chiani bakonyi bonde mboya bole kurwasa omwana one kiagera bwana enkumeti na omwana one narua senya gitarie naende muna kurwa senya gitarie nabo korwa ole buyalende kurwa senya gitari bono nonje nachakire gutwara ebirengera bitari biya abaminti ni gonde no gukumya konene kamuranje abamate abantu bonsi pia balimo moroche motole namana barabunya gitari ali moroche michando ngosumbuka ni gegende gatimana bono ni gonga ne tinko nyoro boko
ikabone kinye gitari ko gote
nyagitari na batebeti na goikatokora agreement ekiagera mangana yo gwakana nimbwate kadi ane aine chai ngateba inje bana mwana oye garama kere ginto ene tingelikera abe na bwako garamia lakini ntokole ti agreement na barabu ekigengete wasi na kiya bakane tingwene insoke go mwana oye umie nje regire na nje ntagetoba ene bu mwana
turumona kurete jana sinakumwase nikenda
ase twatakete kumuira tieta nanjira nitoko mwana kanyoro chakire gusambika okoboko nkarra na bara na chuando sina no okoboko kwensio kogimo nkamakonyera esteki yale kirenda ike gokonyeka kurwo egerara gwena maeko mayana na kio mwana abutorete kiara
na kwa ikiri pote sabo na gitari abanene kurengana muno
na igeta somo na gitari oteneta mangana tieta na igeta somo na gitari omanene omongi na orengo roteneta mangana ekero bakongo monde bwesi bwabeire bakori kama bagocha bakorikise tokaigwana na barabuna chigarama chonsi piniguru yabo lakini tini ndina kwegene kiagere garama yane ngento kego nkonya nene chae
kusaba kwa wongoro kyo kubana
ogosaba kwane ekiara keriki omwana one ekiagera ngeko nyara gocho omwana ole maire na no molema obokonya atoke ekiagera nyore none ndagera nyore keregento anyole yani ali ndwa senga kiaye kurubona bakaso bugima bwae bwensipi na incho manyene egerendo no mwana no kole irwe sabe cia
magega yokwererwa igoro yokubuturwa egechara gitoni ky'omwana oiga nigo twarigetie munyagitari munene oyotenenete nyagitari ya KC Teaching and Referral Hospital Dr. Oimeke Marita agwasetwa munyeta sintra yasimi na gotwerera igoro yokubuturwa egechara gitoni ky'omwana oyo omwana oyo waikira boniga niga aberire ase nyagitari yo egeka ky'emitinyo ebere.
My name is Dr. Oimeke Marita, Chief Executive Officer, KC Teaching and Referral Hospital. The case under consideration, you'll allow me not to delve into too much details because of the Data Protection Act that then demands that we, at all times, as we handle patient information, we uphold privacy and confidentiality. So I will just highlight the key issues without delving into the details so that I can protect the privacy and confidentiality of this patient. So the complaint reached my desk and I've checked through the records, and what I have is as follows. A female patient, 13-year-old, was admitted to one of our wards in the hospital, Ward 8, after being transferred from medical ward, female medical ward 6, where she was initially admitted, and came in, was being managed for what we call severe malnutrition. The patient had body swelling, which are common features in malnutrition. So the hands were swollen, the legs, had some wounds, which we attributed to probably the child was probably being either sleeping or resting on one side for a long time. We usually tend to get those wounds in people who cannot turn in bed by themselves, so they have to rely on someone else to do it. And those wounds were noted. By the time this patient came, the wounds were infected, so the patient had infection of those wounds that had spread even to the blood. There was low blood levels in the body, and also this child has what we call cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is a long-standing illness where a baby, when they are being born, probably they don't get enough oxygen to their brain, so the brain ends up suffering and they don't develop as a normal development, and the growth is expected. So later the child was investigated for other infections, for which treatment was commenced. And as I said, when somebody has swollen feet, swollen hands, sometimes getting even a line that then is used to treat, where we injecting drugs, even fluids, sometimes getting those veins is very difficult, and particularly on the affected hand. A line was apparently inserted, and later it was noted to be swelling. The swelling worsened because there was a swelling because of the underlying disease, but after the line, the insertion of the line in the vein, it was later noted to have worsened in terms of swelling. So as per the standard practice, if you have a line for fluids or for drugs in a vein and you're not swelling, the first step is to stop giving drugs and the fluids through that line, and you get the line out. Then you get a line elsewhere as you monitor the swelling. So this particular finger was noted to have started changing color later, even after stopping giving drugs through that vein. And at that time, the surgeons were called in, who examined the patient, and they advised that we wait and see how the finger behaves. Later, the finger worsened and did what we call demarcation. Now we could see the darkening has reached a given level which was at a joint, and the recommendation from surgeon then was that we do what we call disarticulation. Disarticulation means you cut the finger at the level where blood flow is not reaching. At that time, I think the caretaker to the patient was uncomfortable with that decision, which is not surprising because, I mean, sometimes some news can be so scaring, causes anxiety, and usually without consent, you can't proceed. So that finger then ended up worsening over time, and it's like the vessel that was affected continued getting affected until now we ended up losing the whole finger. So by the time the caretaker accepted the finger or the operation to be done, the whole finger now had been involved. So as of this moment, it's very difficult to really pinpoint and say it's because of the injection that the finger ended up getting cut, because we know there are many causes of what we call gangrene. Okay, there are many causes of gangrene. For some reason, a blood vessel in a given part of the body blocks, just like people get heart attacks. Heart attack means one part of the heart is not getting supply of blood because of a blocked vessel. Even if you investigate it, sometimes it's very difficult to really tell why did the blood vessel block. So in this particular case, it's very difficult to prove beyond reasonable doubt that it's out of the injection that a blood vessel blocked and therefore causing it to die. Okay, but what we know is this particular patient had multiple issues. Some of the issues have been there since birth. Others have been acquired along the way, probably due to the special nature of the patient. We said there were ulcers which came from home, pressure ulcers from where the child is lying on, most of the time without turning. Okay, there was anemia, blood level was low, there were infection in blood. Okay, so even infection alone can affect a blood vessel and therefore cause dying of that particular part of the finger. So I will end it there, but the information I have so far, the child is okay. The wound from where the finger or the thumb was cut is healing well, and the child has responded positively to medications. Looking forward to the child recovering fully, and wishing the child quickest recovery and successful response to treatment.
Kwarengana na Dr. Oimeke oyotenenerete nyakitari nene ya Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital nigo atwenekerete buna nigo bagochikutenenera epiria nyakitari yo mwana oyo nye enka yae kigochikusinywa wakana.
Yes, I'm told the caretaker to the child is worried about the hospital bills. As a hospital, we know not every member of society has the same ability to pay for bills, especially if one is not covered by NHIF. So as a hospital, we have a waiver and exemption policy, which then establishes a waiver committee. So what happens is once we get a notification either from the medical social worker covering the ward, or the patient or caretaker places a request, or another representative of that patient or the unit manager of the ward, we then subject that request through the waiver committee, who then do what we call socioeconomic status assessment. We refer to even the file, how it was documented at the time of admission. If need arises, we even have a provision where the waiver committee makes a physical visit to the home of the patient to really establish if what we have captured is true representation. So that's what I will encourage. If the case is needy, we have a policy for waiver, and it's a very fair process as long as they meet certain criteria.
Yengo reporter TV ya Kisii Hot kurwa account ya Kisii Eritrea nenye mtu Dennis Kuntu.